All right, so just wanted to go over some approaches I just did in the last, I don't know, maybe hour and a half, something like that, probably not even. And then talk about, again, why high volume of approaching is essential, okay? So, let's see. So the first approach, very first approach of the day was at a gas station, okay? Girl was pumping gas. I go up and I'm just like, hey, excuse me. She's like, what? I was like, I know this is random as fuck, but you are really cute. And she just goes, okay. And I'm like, what are you up to right now? She goes, nothing. I'm just like, oh, nothing. It looks like you're pumping gas. And she's like, yeah. And then at that point, I just, realized that she wasn't into it, obviously. So I was just like, all right, cool. Have a good one. And then I just walked away, okay? So the second one, approached this girl really ridiculously, like, gosh, she had like crazy athletic body, just big, everything was fucking awesome, okay? Go up to her, standard fucking, hey, you're cute, or whatever I freaking said. And she goes, oh, I think I'm too young for you. And I was like, how old are you? She goes, 18. And I'm like, oh, that's not too young. And she's like, no, that's too young. And normally I would kind of push through a little bit, but I just kind of got the feeling that she was like very, very not interested. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'll see you later. So third approach was in that same store. As I was walking out, this other girl was walking in. She actually pretty much looked fucking identical to the second girl that I approached, like athletic, just fucking awesome. So I go up to her, same thing, fucking, hey, you look really good, or you, whatever the fuck I said. It's always something about their looks or how they're attractive in some way. And she like lights up, she's like, oh, thank you, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, yeah, what are you up to? We have a little, like, maybe 2-minute conversation or whatever. Set up a general date for this weekend. We didn't like hammer down a time or whatever. But yeah, got her number, texted her, she responded to the initial text, so, maybe that'll lead somewhere. But I'm going over these approaches to highlight how it's a couple things. One is that I use the same approach for all three girls. The first one was completely 100% unreceptive. Just like, yeah, okay, cool, all right. Now some guys would be like, oh my god, what did I say wrong? Like, could my tonality have been different? Blah, 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 blah. And then the second one, who was, she's like, oh, I'm too young for you, or whatever, like, whatever, that's not too bad. And then the third one was ridiculously receptive, okay? Exact same opener and approach for all three girls, but one was, very dismissive. One was kind of, just whatever, normal, polite, just, okay, yeah, I'm not interested. And the third one was extremely receptive, okay? A lot of a girl's reaction doesn't really have to do with you, okay? As long as you are, you have to look good, you have to be confident and just forward and direct and all that stuff, and you'll get reactions across the board, okay? And so as I'm doing these approaches, kind of the social rust is coming off. I'm starting to get a little bit more fluid and kind of loose, and instead of it kind of being a little robotic at first, where it's like, oh, excuse me, you are very attractive. Hi, how are you? Like, usually the first one or two approaches I do, it's kind of just like, not too smooth or whatever. That's normal for most people. But as you do more approaches in a short period of time, you kind of build up that momentum. I did 7 approaches in total at 3 different places. I won't go into all the other ones. They're just all, it's just all freaking across the board. I got 2 numbers out of 7 approaches, okay? And by the end of the 7th approach, like, I could feel it. Like, I could feel my confidence, my social fluidity, all that stuff increasing, okay? The last one was this, like, she was like fucking Instagram model quality. And I went up, and I was just like, hey, excuse me, you look fucking amazing. And at first she was like, there was like a split second where she was like taken aback because, might have You know, might have been maybe too aggressive. I don't know, but you know, that's just the mood I was in. And she's like, oh, thank you. I was like, oh, what are you up to right now? She's like, oh, I'm just blah, blah, blah. My boyfriend's outside. I was like, oh, your boyfriend? Lame. And then she kind of laughed. She's like, yeah, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how long you guys been together? She's like, 2 years. And then I was like, oh, so it's like not serious at all? And, you know, whatever, she laughed and all that shit. And so I was just like, all right, cool. Well, keep doing what you're doing. You look fucking awesome. And yeah, I'm going to head out. She's like, all right, cool, you know, whatever. So the reason why you need to do high volume of approaching is, it's two things, okay? Is because when you do a lot of approaching in like a short period of time, like over the course of just a day, you start to see the fluctuations of the different reactions, okay? So you get a couple down here, you get a couple up here, a couple in the middle, and you see all the different data points over a short period of time, so you can see, like, you can see the patterns, you can see it's all over the fucking place, okay? If you do 2 or 3 approaches in a day, all right, you might get all, like, let's say I only did the first 2 approaches, the one who was very dismissive, and then the other one who was just kind of, whatever, I'm too young for you. If that's all I did throughout the day, then, and I was a beginner, I would come to the conclusion, wow, I must be weird and awkward. I must be too old, because the second one said I was too old and the first one was really dismissive. So I must suck and also be old. No, like, you don't have enough data to draw any of those conclusions. That's why sometimes, you know, you'll go out and approach, do 2 or 3 approaches, and maybe they'll all be receptive and you'll think, man, I'm fucking awesome today. And then another time you'll go out, you'll do 2 or 3 and everyone fucking hates you. And you'll think like, dang, what did I do differently that first time? Like, how do I recapture that? No, you didn't do anything differently. It was just you hit a different subset of girls. And you would know that that's normal if you did more than freaking 2 or 3 approaches in a day. Like, if you do 10, 15, 20 approaches, you see all these different patterns, okay? The main reason, though, why you actually need to do high volume approaching is, like I've said a whole bunch of times before, is it builds up your confidence, your social fluidity, your conversational skills, all that other stuff, okay? If you only do 2 or 3, I'm gonna say, if you haven't done hundreds or thousands of approaches, I'm gonna guesstimate probably like 5,000 approaches or something like that, okay? If you are not at the point where you've done just a crap load of approaches and you've kind of very much internalized it, if you do less than 5 approaches in a day, literally don't even do any approaches. Like, if you're going out and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go approach some girls. If you aren't planning on doing bare minimum 5, literally don't even do it. It is a complete waste of time. It'd be the equivalent of if you went to the gym and you did a 5-minute cardio warm-up, and then you did like 2 or 3, you know, warm-up sets, and you're just like, all right, I'm done at the gym. It's like, why the fuck did you even go in the first place? Like, there's a certain amount of volume that you need to hit to get certain benefits. It'd be just like at your job. You can only get overtime if you work at least 40 hours, okay? So if you're planning like your money out and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get this overtime pay, you cannot count on that overtime pay until you get to at least 40 hours, all right? There's certain benefits that you will only achieve when you hit a certain volume. That's true with literally anything in life, okay? That's why it's better to, you know, you're practicing an instrument, you want to do it for maybe like in 2 hours at a time, you know, we'll say 3 times a week, instead of like 20 minutes at a time, just like every day, because there's a certain amount of like momentum you have to get to and get in the flow and all that stuff to get certain benefits. So yeah, I could feel it. By the end of the 7th approach, I was like feeling good. I could tell that my speech, my confidence, my general mood and everything was way better than at that very first approach. But if I would have stopped at 2 or 3 approaches, I wouldn't have gotten that benefit. I would have just stayed right at like still kind of weird and socially awkward. Okay, so you absolutely have to do high volume of approaching. Like 5 a day is the absolute bare minimum. Like, if you're gonna go out, you should plan on doing at least 10 in a day, at least when you're starting out. Like, bare minimum, if you're not gonna go out and say I'm gonna do at least 10 approaches, I would say probably just don't even fucking do it. there's certain things you won't be made aware of, and certain mentalities and whatever you will not adopt if you don't hit a certain threshold, okay? So yeah, two main benefits are you see the patterns over a short period of time, so you have a better view of, you know, the different reactions from girls and what's normal and what's kind of a little bit abnormal. And then also you get a confidence boost, and, you know, the social rust gets taken off and all that other shit, okay? So yeah, approach more, and specifically approach high volume in a short period of time. Otherwise, it's literally like going to the gym, doing a warm-up, and then leaving. You will not make gains, okay? If you're not going to approach bare minimum, absolute bare minimum, it should be closer to 10 to 15. But if you're going to have to do bare minimum, at least 5 in a day, literally don't do it. It will be a waste of time. You will not accomplish anything. And you'll trick yourself and you'll think, well, 3 is better than nothing. It's actually not. It would have been better if you did 0, because then you could have at least been productive maybe with that time and done something. So yeah, approach more. That's it. That's what I freaking always preach anyway. But yeah, that's it.